Come along on a Wednesday evening, greeting everybody with a smile. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to a very, very late MBE Movie News. I am John, and I'm joined by Stephen via Zoom call. We are a pair of Zoomers tonight. It's terrible. The quality's terrible. We tried for the last hour to get it working. Try as I may, I've had to stretch up a tiny little image of Stephen. He's probably about 2 seconds behind. The quality's not great. It looks as though he's sleeping there. But Stephen, the headline's all about Michael Keaton not taking over as the DCEU's main Batman after the upcoming Flashpoint movie with Ezra Miller. And the rest of the gang, we've got Affleck coming back, Ben Affleck. What do you make about that? Is that something that surprises you? This is going to be a very succinct, expedited show tonight. So we're doing 2 topics. That's not a Vicky I'm giving you, that's 2 topics. Stephen, what's your thoughts on this? It certainly doesn't surprise me that Michael Keaton's not sticking around for very long as the Batman. No. I hope I'm not muted. No, I'm not muted. Yes, no, I'm not muted. It's all good. Losing the pot here. Stephen, you're not muted either. What do you make about it? Does it surprise you that Michael Keaton's perhaps a one and done affair?
No, I think so, John. It came on, I think it was Monday, it came up, the news broke there that Michael Keaton was to be the main Batman.
Yes.
But honest with you, John, I did not believe it was this. Michael Keaton's nearly 70, already 70 years old.
Yeah.
There's no that he is the future. I understand the whole Batman thing was getting pushed as well. This would be a more we were going to be anyway. For some reason I did believe it for us, and I'm kind of glad you can confirm it's not, because Michael Keaton's one of Bruce Wayne and Batman. He had a great film. I was excited to see return, but I don't want it to be fiction or anything like that. I would rather the idea to have Michael Keaton, Batman, Bruce was going to be Nick Fury for the DCEU. I like that. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that's a Monday anyway. It was and it concerned me slightly that could be something happening, but part of that happening. No,
Stephen, I don't. I'm glad that he is going to be a one and done. We'll actually get the article up here. It's Brooks Barnes, of I think the New York Times fame. He was a reporter, or he is a reporter. He's not dead. There's no past tense. He says this in a tweet: "Been offline, moving apartments, and returned to see this. Michael Keaton's craziness. I was referring to one film that Keaton has been announced as being in, not a set of his own Batman films. I had info on him beyond the Flash." If I had info on him beyond the Flash, I would have obviously put it in my article. So it was very obvious, Stephen, that it was going to be a one and done. They were going to bring him in. He's going to be a sort of grisly connective tissue. Sort of, I don't know what figure he'll play in this Flashpoint movie. They're doing their multiverse. Marvel are doing their multiverse. I'm just glad to see the guy back in some shape. It's a surprise to everyone. 30 odd years has passed. Maybe, 30 years has passed. It's just a surprise to see this guy back at all, and in any fashion, even if it's a little cameo, or if it's a more meaty sort of role with substance where he's playing a mentor figure, then I'll be happy either way. I didn't expect multiple movies, his own trilogy. I'd be happy for this to set up Ben Affleck having a more visible role in the DCEU moving forward. Of course, we've got Pattinson doing his thing in the Matt Reeves trilogy. 3 Batmen, full Spider-Man. 3's too much. 1's probably too much. 2's pushing it. So I'd rather have Affleck and Pattinson. I wouldn't want to see Keaton as like a 57, whatever the hell he is, year old guy, continuing on as Bruce Wayne, Batman. So yeah, Stephen, we've actually lost you there. I don't know what's going on. We've lost the video, but I don't know if you've got anything else to say before we move on. If you're still here with us in spirit and audio. I don't think he is. I think Stephen's perhaps away. Sadly, so I may have to end the show on my lonesome here. I may have to go to myself. We will get this ironed out, incidentally, guys. This is a shambles just now. I'm going to have to end the chat with Stephen. It pains my heart. But we'll get this sorted out. We'll get the show sorted out. We'll get the technical side sorted out. Sadly, we are in a lockdown just now in Scotland, a very harsh lockdown, and you can incur a £10,000 charge if you're caught being in someone else's house, and we don't want to risk it. Sadly, we ain't got £10,000 lying around. But I'll quickly move on. I never had the actual graphics up, incidentally. I had it briefly up there, but I'm not anymore. It's all about Ben Affleck. It's going to be the Batman show tonight, so I'm going to move on and speak about Ben Affleck very briefly before rounding the show up. It's nearly 1 a.m. here in sunny Glasgow. It's very cold, it's very foggy, it's very icy, it's very dangerous walking out in the streets in Glasgow. But look, here it is here, coming in from Screen Rant. Ben Affleck was fully invested in his Batman movie until his exit. And this was coming in from, I think, a bit of a back and forth between Scott Mendelson and J. Oliver, whoever the hell J. Oliver is. And Scott Mendelson had this to say: all this DC films will have multiple continuities thing is almost entirely because Batman and Superman messed up messed up so badly that Ben Affleck didn't want to be Batman anymore, and that they had to take a secondary route to make a Batman movie that didn't even end up in the same universe. What is he's perhaps talking about the Batman, in which case he's right, it's not in the same universe. But look, these happy little accidents happen, and I'm happy that Matt Reeves is getting to make his very own vision of Batman, a trilogy with the great Arbats Robert Pattinson. I'm glad to see that we've got the likes of Colin Farrell coming in as the Penguin. I'm glad to see we've got the likes of Paul Dano playing the Riddler. I'm glad to see we've got the likes of what's his name, John something playing Carmine Falcone. I've tried to remember the guy's name, but it's not happening just now. He's got a very strange name. It's a borderline Italian name. And I'm just glad to see we've got the likes of who is it that's playing Captain in this movie again? Is it Zoe Kravitz? I'm just glad to see we've got a very young, almost punkishly young cast coming. That wouldn't have happened if this didn't happen. So happy little accidents can happen, and look, by all accounts, didn't play out the way that Scott's saying it did, because G. Oliver had this to say in reply. He cut him down, slapped him about like an empty tracksuit in the wind. He says this: I'm curious where you got this info from. Scott, did Ben tell you this? Because I was working with him personally just prior to him leaving the project, and not once did he seem like he didn't want to be the Batman. His version of Batman is his soul movie. His version of a Batman and his soul movie would have made fans proud. Look, I can see what Scott's saying. They bastardised the creative direction of the Batman. They bastardised Ben Affleck's tenure as the Batman. To such an extent where he actually wrote the script for this original Batman movie. They kind of threw it in his face. They didn't want anything to do with it. He had to part ways, rather unharmoniously. And he stepped out the door, and there was bitterness in there. There was bad blood, regardless of what G. Oliver says. And he may very well have painted the picture of a guy who was fully invested in Batman, because, to be quite frank, he probably was fully invested in Batman. This guy's a huge Batman fan. He has a Batcave in his house. He knows the character, the inner machinations of the character, inside out. So I've no doubt in my mind that there's some truth from both sides of the equation here. He may have been fully invested, happy to play the character beside a J. Oliver, but at the same time, in the upper echelons of Warner Brothers and DC, he may have been a very different figure. The businessman would have come in, then he'd have wanted paid, he'd have wanted his script to have been acted out on the screen. And that's maybe where Scott Mendelson's side of thing comes into play. And look, either way, it doesn't matter now. Batman v Superman happened. Zack Snyder's got his extended cut. It's a much better movie. He was in the Justice League for bad or for good or for bad. He was in it, and he was okay in it. It wasn't his fault. It was a dumpster fire of a movie. So it happened. He's came back. He's going to be in this Flashpoint movie. He's going to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League as well. He may very well come back in other incarnations of the Batman in other movies. So all's well ends well for me. I'm not going to get too caught up in it. I don't really care whether Jay's right or Scott's right. Ultimately, I think both are right. There was bad blood, there was bitterness, and it's all water under the bridge now. So look guys, that's going to round up this very short show, because to be quite frank, it's incredibly late here. We tried to sort it out. Technically it didn't work out. We will get it sorted out for subsequent shows, because Zoom is a joke, and we will get a video service that gets Stephen into these shows and contributing, and not sounding like a Dalek, because he kind of sounded a little bit Dalekish. I didn't want to cut him off. He asked me to cut him off if the sound get bad, but Stephen we're talking about here, he's one of the fellow founding members of MBE, so it couldn't be happening. I'll let the guy have his say. But look, that's going to round it up, man. If you've got anything to say at all about the two Batman heavy topics we spoke about on the show tonight, you can comment below and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. Lord knows why you would. But look guys, until then, I'll bid you farewell. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye bye.